Welcome back, and we know mobile is exploding, but who's going to help the marketer understand how to navigate the space? Start with Rohit. So who's going to educate the marketer? Because when a new medium comes into place, we saw it in the 80s with TV. People had to learn how to make TV commercials one fine morning. So who's going to help them navigate? Who's going to take the responsibility? Who's going to fund the education?
It's a very interesting question. I think the approach to this is really an industry-wide approach. There's no one singular party who's responsible for making it happen.
Sure.
As an industry body, as Mobile Marketing Association, we are facilitating that marketplace, if you will. We are bringing all the parts of the ecosystem, whether it's the advertisers, the agencies, the measurement companies, the content companies, the telcos, all come to the same table and discuss and figure out what is it that they need to do to actually extract the value of mobile. As the panelists have said, the potential is immense. It's huge. To an extent that there are campaigns and there are instances of case studies where mobile has far exceeded the return of investment, whether it's on TV, print, radio. And this is, as an association, we've done this through cross-media effectiveness of mobile versus other medias. And we've done this research across 7 countries with 8 different categories of brands, whether it's finance sector, FMCG sector, food and retail, beverages. And we've realized everywhere the return of investment on mobile is at least 2x compared to any other media. Even in India, if you see, mobile is bigger than outdoor, radio, etc. in terms of just pure ad spend. The fact is that when everybody is coming together, they need to work towards certain standards and certain guidelines that the industry needs to establish. We should not forget, it's a very new industry. It's only about 7 to 10 years old. And we start comparing it to an industry like TV, which is 50 years old, radio, which is 100 years old. And then the expectation, because the numbers are so big, the expectations are also in that same quantum. What we need to do, I think what we as MMA facilitate is having that discussion so that people understand each and everybody's contribution. What do agencies have to do to educate their partners? How can they bring their expertise?
Sorry, I'll cut you there. Tell me, Srini, what do you do to educate your partners? Now, the big part of your job is becoming education, whatever. And it's a tough call because you have to make investments in shall we say, the curriculum, so to say, and teach people. So what is it that you're doing with?
I think both internally as well as externally, one of the things we've learned is there'll always be a few eager beavers within the organization or change agents, if you want to call them, who kind of are early adopters, experiment, innovate, and come up with great ideas. And then we, as a system, try and encourage such people to cascade their learnings. And we have mechanisms built, whether it's through training programs, formal or informal kind of stuff, so that it kind of seeps across the organization. And the same holds true with clients as well. We found clients even 7-8 years ago, willing to experiment, willing to go the extra mile. And not hold the agency accountable, for the spend on mobile, because it was a learning. It was a learning which everyone is going to invest in.
So it's a joint learning. Everybody learns together.
It's a joint learning, and we see clients who started off that way are today far ahead of the curve compared to some of the others.
Can you share
a lot of
names?
the others? Hindustan Unilever, for example. Hindustan Unilever, I think, was one of the first clients to actually experiment with the mobile, being in the FMCG space. And KKT, of course, is a great case study. And lots
KKT,
of others.
only you and I know. So
lots of
expand on KKT. We'll presume
but
for the moment
lots of other
people don't know KKT. So it's Khan Khajura Station, which is a radio channel which
and of course lots of other great work that followed that. Vodafone is another client of ours which got onto the mobile platform very early on, and in fact done some great work. And today it's actually integral. Integral to their campaign. Even more recently, Tata Tea, the Power of 49 campaign that we ran to coincide with the general elections of 2014. In fact, the mobile was a very integral element of it because there was a call to action, and as you're aware, it was a crowdsourced manifesto. We had over 600,000 ideas which came in and created a manifesto for all the political parties. Again, a very innovative way of using the mobile. So yeah, it's the ones who experimented, the ones who kind of went ahead and decided to kind of test and learn are the ones who are kind of ahead of the curve.
So, Hemant, if I said you make an elevator pitch, tell me about one case. I'm going to ask you the same question. One case which is a fantastic story about the use of mobile. What comes to mind for you?
Immediately, KKT is one example, which actually took away...
Can we talk about non-WPP, non-HUL clients? Just to make it interesting.
No, certainly. But this was a fantastic example of what I really like about it is it actually broke the barrier between a feature phone and smartphone, and it changed the paradigm. Because otherwise, my fear or what I've observed was everything was built around reaching out to the feature phone consumer, smartphone consumer. This is one brilliant example of that. The other example that I've seen very well utilized is the PepsiCo, and in the IPL season, where they've leveraged every possible bit of driving traffic, using location data, so fabulous examples. In fact, Rohit can share, in MMA, we have seen some great work as part of the Smarties, which various agencies and across all groups we have seen some fabulous stuff last year.
Have you forgotten, you have both spoke about KKT effusively. Have you forgotten that the role of that campaign was to reach media dark areas? Right. And that was on feature phones, not smartphones. So how come we haven't spoken about it more? Maybe at award shows and in forums such as this we talk about it. Why is the marketer, the small marketer of an SME not hearing about how beautifully this can reach a target in a media dark area?
Yeah, actually, Anand, I'll take a slightly different view. You would expect the marketers to be the first people to really evangelize and use mobile, etc. I think to teach all of us a lesson, we should today see how the government and other cohorts are today using the mobile. Starting from the police to education to telemedicine, all of those places, and the Twitter handles being used, the public service messages going out. I guess if we see that, we'll draw even more inspiration from there into what the marketers can do today. Sure.
And now get back to the use of I think we have not touched upon the ability to reach, say, media dark and light media areas, rural India and so on, especially through the feature phone. So what does your data tell you on the ability?
So today what's happening is if you look at the metrics, all the reach metrics and the depth metrics, today the reach is almost uniform across our town classes. Right. We were saying metros, then we were saying, the mini metros. Today, metros, mini metros, tier 1 towns, tier 2 towns all have similar, almost similar penetration. And even smartphone penetration has gone up.
You're talking
to
percentage penetration.
Percentage penetration. Right. And depth of consumption, engagement has also gone up. So both time spent as well as reach and depth of penetration has uniformly gone out. And that's why I was making the point about democratization. That's really what's happened. Sure. It's gone all down to the rural areas and to the small towns. And that's why it's a great vehicle to create reach today as well, and not just for the niche and the premium products and select consumer segments.
Rohit, this whole overhype on what the smartphone can do, is it causing marketers rather not to focus on what the feature phone can do? And isn't there a lot more that you can do with a feature phone? Is it an over-promising of sorts?
No, I don't think so. It's an over-promise. Right. I think it delivers what it calls out for. I think the function of what the marketer wants to get out of that particular product, we need to sit back and look at what their product portfolio is. In a case like Hindustan Liver, for example, we were talking about, they have products for the mass market which covers 900 million consumers. But if you look at certain other financial products or automotive, their target segment is not there. Sure. So they are exploiting the smartphones. What needs to happen, to your earlier question, is how do we reach the masses? How do we reach the 300 to 600 million? I think there are challenges there, and that's where the entire ecosystem needs to work together. The moment you cross the 300, 250, 300 million barrier, you need to address language. You need to address education. You need to address certain content areas which are very specific or regional or local to that market. And that's where the content needs to be developed before it can be exploited and a return of investment can be got. The example that we've been talking about, KKT or others, are classical examples where there was local regional content that was developed for those consumers, because those consumers are not in the smartphone era. They are not with the gaming and the WhatsApp and Facebook era. They don't have that affinity to that. So you need to provide them that content that can be exploited. So if there is a CEO of an FMCG companies and their products actually go to those markets, they need to start thinking of working towards delivering value before they get the return. And I think that's the catch-22 we are playing with right now. Yes, the audience is 900 million. Yes, they're all reachable. Do we have the means and the products to get to them? Just the phone is a device.
Sure.
It's means to the end. Have we created a plethora of activities, content, services which can reach out to them and then start using that as an advertising medium?
You wanted to say something, yes.
Yeah, one point I would say is that I think the cost of data and cost of bandwidth going down dramatically in the last 6 months has increased the data consumption a lot. And to the smartphone point, that's what's going to also drive the smartphone. So the gap between feature phone and smartphone is going to really kind of come together very soon. It's already coming together because one, device costs have gone down, second, data costs have gone down. So you're not anymore just in the Wi-Fi regime to use that data anymore, right? And that's the big change. That today you will find grandmom's recipes there being accessed by small town and rural consumers. Tomorrow you might find an Ayurvedic medicine that the grandmom is talking about.
You can say Patanjali now. We have said levers 3 times. You can say Patanjali. Sure.
Again, feature phone is my favorite. The interesting thing that one is seeing is how the apps are now being built for feature phones. So somebody is building an app where it is converting text into speech. ITEL is building equivalent of WhatsApp kind of a messaging platform, which is going to allow you to chat, maybe not allow you to share videos and file transfer. So there's a whole bunch of things even happening there. So the feature phone, smartphone divide, to build on what Prashant was saying, is actually going to get smaller and smaller, and hopefully will disappear.
I just wanted to add a nuance to this. We talk about today in 2017, we say feature phone and smartphone. But actually, if you see, the feature phone of today is the smartphone of 2010. It's just, I think it's a nuance of what we are trying to create. But majority of those phones actually have the capability of data, of camera and connectivity. And if they are there, you need to provide them the services that go with it.
Right. So Srini, I'm going to close with this. In your entire basket of Group M clients, is there a single client that you believe can afford not to do mobile marketing by the end of next year? Is there a single client?
No.
Simple
answer, no.
Simple answer. So can you expand on the simple answer? Why no one, whatever the category may be?
No, I think, like we said earlier, I think the mobile is not just a medium or a source of communicating with consumers, but you can do so much more, whether it's, commerce, whether it's, location-based targeting, couponing, sampling, a lot of stuff. And we're talking about feature phones and rural India, etc. I mean, who knows, with the whole jugaad culture we have, very soon somebody's probably going to come up with something that replaces the moving theater of the 70s and 80s when we used to go around doing rural marketing, in vans and all of that, using mobile technology and get community viewing in some sense. So the fact that there are multiple ways in which a marketer can leverage mobile, I think, just makes it, common sense that it can work for any category, any brand. Just have to apply your mind to it.
Right. Thank you, Prasoon. Thank you, CVL. Thank you, Hemant. And thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you for watching, and we'll carry on with the series on mobile marketing and catch you sometime next week. Thank you so much.